Hello and a warm welcome. This is New Dawn Nigeria on Viewer Television, the program where we keep you updated on news making the headlines throughout the week. I am Chinon Supam and we're excited today to have...
And I am Phillips Living. Sorry I went AWOL last week.
Yeah.
But, it's good when you're back, you just have to sometimes go back to your shell, re-energize yourself and come back stronger. But it's good that I'm here. Good morning, Africa. Good morning, Nigeria. And good morning, Abuja. This is, of course, the New Dawn. And here we are here to give you all the juicy news that has happened all through from Monday to Friday. Make sure that we serve it hot and not chill. So stay with us and trust me, you get the very best that you can't imagine.
Yes, and New Dawn Nigeria starts with the major headlines right after the break. Welcome back. Now let's keep you up to speed on news making the major headlines from the Nigerian dailies right up from Monday till day. And today we won't be doing that alone. We have with us in the studio principal partner D.Y. Agbenegbe, the chartered accountant and tax practitioner, here to give us analysis as we go on the dailies. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Very much welcome. All right, now remember, you can draw by any vendor, get a copy, and of course find out more on that story. We'll be starting with Monday, that's the 17th day of July, and we'll give you the major headlines that have been all through the national dailies. And start with President Tinubu, who is the chairman of the Economic Community of the West African States at ECOWAS, Authority of Heads of States and Government, said Africa should be proactive, insisting that the odds against the continent do not require passive leadership. That was when he went to, I think that's Nairobi, yeah, for an AU meeting there. Yes, in the next few weeks, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration will unveil its agenda to address insecurity and poverty, especially in the north. That's according to Vice President Kashim Shettima when he paid a courtesy visit in Kano. But sir, talking about the case of administrations repeating that this thing about insecurity, we're going to combat that, we have this, and at the tail end of the administration, we find out that nothing was ever offered. Are you optimistic about this administration or pessimistic in reference to previous administration, whether PDP or APC?
Well, I think I will want to agree with you totally that there was no improvement in that administration, that security. Because if you can go back to 2012, 11, 12, 13. The time even here in Abuja, we can't go to the market, we can't go to shopping malls, see plastic everywhere, everywhere. In fact, if anybody goes to the market from your house, you will just be worried. You'll be worried until that person comes back from the market. So we have moved. It may not be, we have not moved much, but I think the last administration, yes, I believe before General Buhari came to power, we believed he will do something very well that will combat insecurity fast. Unfortunately, we didn't get it. But that does not mean that they didn't do well in terms of security. And with this present government, continuity, I am hopeful that he will continue from where last administration stopped. Because I was so much aware that much money was spent on buying sophisticated weapons. Arms and ammunition in the previous government, a lot was spent on that. And I think this government will do more.
Okay, now moving forward, that's one of the top stories throughout this week is the case of APC crisis. There were controversies over the alleged resignation of the national chairman of the All Progressive Congress, Senator Abdullahi Adamu. We'll let you talk on that, but let's finish with the rest of the headlines. Human rights lawyer Femi Falana has condemned the National Assembly over the decision to allocate 70 billion naira as palliative for its members. That's anyway. Governor Babagana Zulum of Oron State expressed dismay over the lack of electricity and poor conditions at the General Hospital in Guza town where he paid a surprise visit. Now, the House of Representatives ad hoc committee set up to screen the recently appointed service chiefs, engage the appointees in dialogue. Now, I don't know if any of those headlines caught your attention, whether it's from the APC ex-chair that resigned honorably, I would say, or
it seems like he has a lot on that because you've been making some. What's your take on that, sir, on the resignation, especially because there's been the controversy of did they willingly resign, were they forcefully resigned? What's your take on that?
Surprisingly, I'm not surprised because Governor Adamu, Senator Adamu, has not been. From the beginning, I've not seen him as somebody who part of this government.
Oh, really?
He never
Oh, yeah.
wanted.
Yeah.
He never wanted President Tinubu to be the first minister, and it's not strange that he's leaving. The only thing is I'm surprised that at least no quarrel, no issues, just resignation, and nobody's really willing to talk.
But did he willingly resign?
No,
Do you think he actually resigned?
there were in some quarters it was said that it was suggested or stated by the president that he should resign. Him and his secretary.
Yeah, he and the secretary,
the
almost
national secretary.
resigned. Yeah. If you ask me, I feel like they were forced to willingly resign. if there is something like that, because pressmen were taking that they saw Omoshore coming in. He wanted to make his way in, and he also noticed Abdullahi was not there. And you wonder, you willingly resigned. You shouldn't be here at the National Workers Committee meeting. Like you should have just gone somewhere. You shouldn't be found at the
better that
secretary.
he resigned rather than let's say he's ousted. Understand by force. So that's why I said honorably. At least people commend the fact that someone resigned. It's hard.
We like the fact that we heard that somebody resigned.
It's hard for you to hear somebody resign. It's either they are forcing him out of the office or so. And again, there is the situation where human rights lawyer Femi Falana condemning the National Assembly over the decision to allocate about 70 billion naira as palliative for its members. Imagine, but I just hope one day we'll get past that. Well, can you help us with?
All right, yes. So let's moving on to news making the headlines. 18th of July, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu returned to Abuja from Nairobi, Kenya, where he participated in the 5th Media Coordination Meeting of the African Union. Following the resignation of Abdullahi Adamu as the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress and the deputy chairman, Not Abubakar Kyari, yesterday officially assumed the position in acting capacity. So I hear that he's been appointed as a minister, so he wouldn't be here. That's Kyari. He wouldn't be. He's definitely just acting as chairman, but he would have to. They have to now have another convention, emergency convention, so that a new chair comes up because he is I think one of the.
Well, I want to believe even before the ministers will be formally appointed. By then, they should have a wheelchair because already they are making moves to put is it Ganduje on that
Really?
seat.
Yes. Nasarawa, former Nasarawa State
State
Governor
governor.
about Makura.
Okay.
That we just feel, no, but ministerial appointment can be done even without having a substantive chairman.
Chairman.
Okay.
So we don't have to wait for an
Don't have to.
emergency discussion before.
No, we don't have to wait for that. But all we know that the power, the chairmanship now will still remain in the North. I think North Central because that is where the argument that is there that moving it to Kano, Northwest, where they have the Northwest, where they have the Speaker of the House of Rep and the Deputy Senate President now getting then that the North Central will not be having, will be losing one. They will have only secretary to the federal government. So they feel North Central should still hold the.
So that's why it's been. That is why there's still.
So
Okay.
it will be balanced.
Yes, exactly. Bonus.
That is Abdullahi not from Nasarawa?
Yes, from Nasarawa.
It's from Nasarawa.
Makura is from Nasarawa.
It's from
That's
Nasarawa.
North Central.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, so moving on, the federal government said plans are underway to undertake a national vaccination of cattle, sheep, and goats following a confirmed case of anthrax in Niger State. We saw that news, and someone sent a picture to be careful buying beef. You know that this period, but we were happy that this didn't come before the salad.
No, I
Yeah, would have been interruptions. So anyway, we're hoping that the vaccination exercise comes in timely so that we can get back to having our beef as normal. All right, the acting chief of defense staff, as Christopher Musa, and service chiefs yesterday, that was on Monday, restated their plans to safeguard Nigeria against internal and external aggressors. This is making another pointer to your earlier thoughts. The troops of the Nigerian army intercepted an international smuggling syndicate while transporting a truckload of smuggled ammunition to Anambra State, Nigeria's southeast. And in an effort to ensure total implementation of the sit-at-home ban in Enugu State, Governor Peter Mbah toured various parts of the state capital to monitor compliance. Do you have any thoughts on the insecurities in the eastern parts?
That's the seat at home.
Honestly, there was a time I was talking to somebody from that region, and a very good friend, but in fact, our voice has to raise. I had to just live quietly. But later he came back to me and said, what I said was right. I said, for God's sake, how will you be protesting against a government or a president and you lock down your state?
You lock down your state.
You lock down your state because you are protesting against a Fulani man in Abuja who does not even know that anything is happening there. And the people from the southeast are known, are industrious people, they are not people for business. Then you now have Sunday to rest at home, which some people still open their shop because they should do business, they should make their money. Then you now decide to a whole day, Monday of all this.
Monday of all this.
What do you think you are doing to the economy of the states, of the region? For now, from the information we are getting, I've not been to the southeast recently, but people are saying Asaba. Business is moving now in Asaba. Yes, because things that people should go to.
They just go,
Yeah, so business will move there. You are bringing down the economy of the state. So if you want to protest, it's not wrong. If you are aggrieved, you should protest. But I think this, in my own opinion, does not really make sense. And unfortunately, nobody no stakeholder from that region is willing to come out and say anything
I
straight.
think that's why the governor Mba right now is. I think he's the person in the forefront right now, trying to say this
Nobody-
has to stop. Also.
Nobody is
And
ready
the
to
guy
see.
in Finland is not even helping
He's
the
not
matters.
here. He's enjoying himself in Finland.
He goes to work.
He's dancing.
Wants to work.
He's dancing online and posting videos, and we are sitting down at home, and you're not working.
He goes to work on Mondays,
On
but he
Mondays.
wants the people in the state to.
And still, people still believe it should be like that. That's what me. Sometimes I feel. Say, what is the issue? Is it me that's not thinking well, or that something is wrong somewhere? Because a business community closing a whole day, Monday, not
A whole Monday.
every day, every week. I think the leaders from that zone should just wake up and be able to attack the truth and maybe collaborate with the federal government and get that stopped in the interest of the people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, let's move to that's Wednesday here.
Yeah,
19th July. President Bola Tinubu has directed an immediate review of the 8,000 naira conditional cash transfer program initially proposed to ease the harsh effects of the fuel subsidy removal. I know you have something to say on that, but let's get the rest first. Bearing any last minute changes, Senate President Godswill Akpabio will read the letter containing President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's nominees for a ministerial position. Also, Nigerian Labour Congress has warned that it may be forced to withdraw from the dialogue with the federal government over the cushioning of the hardship brought by Nigerians by the withdrawal of petrol subsidy by President Bola Tinubu. Plans by the federal government to disperse 8,000 naira to 12 million Nigerians. The Central Bank of Nigeria has reduced the number also of Bureau de Change dealers to 2,991, and the group chief executive officer of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Mele Kyari, has attributed the increase in petrol pump price from 540 naira to 617 naira per litre to market forces. Finally, the House of Representatives is set to approve the appointments made under the former president, Muhammadu Buhari. So I don't know which one we'll start with. Maybe with the president directing the immediate review of the 8,000 naira we distributed, I think, to 12 million people. To start with, what was your take on the 8,000 naira that has been said to be given to about 12 million Nigerians?
Well, even in the advanced world, everywhere, as in people, they have social investment in people. I don't know how they arrive at 8,000, but it's not bad to give to the community, but how will it be done? Will it actually get to the people? Will it actually get them? Because I don't know how where to get it register. No, I like the former government, the last government had a register, but I don't know how effective, how sincere, how true, how did they arrive at those people on the register? And if this money is being released, will it get to the people that actually require it? But sincerely, if you go to the interior villages, giving somebody 8,000 naira per month sometimes will make a lot of sense to them. Sometimes if you go to the interior, when somebody will call you and say, I want to see you, because he has it. He will discuss with you for like 15 minutes, and all the issue he's talking about is 3,000 or 5,000.
Oh, wow.
If you're the type that goes into the villages, you'll be surprised. And you think, this man now is talking about maybe 50, you have 15, 5,000. So there are people, it may not make sense to some people, but sincerely at the villages interior, it makes sense to them. But how will it get to them, and how?
Because that's the major issue. How is it getting to them? Are they the people on this social register? Because another thing we've learned yesterday is that this social register is not even digitalized. So how do you want to make a cash transfer to these people? The people who really need it, do they have bank accounts?
There's also that part where the central bank, that's from what was obtained by Newsman, that for those that don't have bank accounts, they can they can they can ask somebody to open a bank account for them where they can get the money, and it's precisely or particularly for those that are disabled who can't go out in one way or the other. They have that option of bringing someone to collect it for them, or uh, they can fill out a way where the money will be taken to them cash.
That is just going to be chaotic. It is that is going to be chaos, really, if you ask me.
Because somebody also told me the other time when we were discussing this,
Mm.
that in some interior villages that he knew people who, that in the last government time they were paying some people 5,000, 10,000,
Mm.
that they actually in the interior they got some of new people who got, and even when they didn't get for 3 months, that was when Vice President
Osinbajo
Osinbajo was
was-
control
Mm.
that people who didn't get for 3 months will get all 30,000 naira, and people will take it to them in their various villages and distribute
Cash.
cash. How, if you are sincere here, the other area, with that person,
Will that person
sincere?
be
So
sincere?
that's the key. They're talking about yours. That's just it.
Mm.
You may not get to the people because somebody can even deliver today and tomorrow will sign it.
Exactly. Yeah. And who do you hold?
Okay, also on Miali Carrier has attributed the increase of pump price from 540 to 617 naira per liter to market forces. Now he's blaming the market forces.
Yes.
Now, what's your take on the increase so far?
It's harsh, but sadly the reality. It's harsh. The market we expect that it will go high.
Mm.
After sometimes come down. In this same country, when we bought SIM cards for 30,
24,000.
but you queue,
Yeah.
you queue to get this. Just the same. Like today, I think with 1,500 you get, and even sometimes you get airtime bonus. But you know, sometimes back before the arrival of Kulu, a minute on MTN was 15 naira. Just a minute, hello, and you got it is 15 naira. Before Glo came in, and started this pay by what? I don't remember. Then you
Pay per
even
minute.
per second, per second billings, and today you have so many of them, and you can choose where you want to belong, where you want to belong. And you know, I think the other day I saw that area, zone 1. NNPC was selling fuel, can stick, I saw queue, then a filling station before NNPC, only one vehicle. And I wanted fuel to go to somewhere. But when I got there, where there was one vehicle to buy for $12, they were selling for 540. 520 or 540, yes, 540. Whereas the other one was selling at 516 or 17. So people did not buy there. They went to the place they can get it cheap. I think with time that is what we will have. But for now, as if we are not producing it locally, it will be difficult to get to that point.
I have a question to ask, and I'll be asking since maybe you'll help us with an answer today. We're not producing locally,
Yes.
right? So this is dependent on importation, and I'm guessing that the exchange rate is part of what is affecting this right now. But if we look at the international price that this thing, that petrol is being sold around the world, right? It's being sold at $1.3 or 1.80 cents or thereabouts. And if we know that if we do that conversion right now with $1 to 820, we know that we should be buying petrol over 1,000 naira. We should be buying petrol over, yes, yeah, 800, 830. We should be buying petrol per liter more than 1,000 naira, right? We're happy that we have not gone there yet. But we don't understand, and I know that what makes the prices come down in some countries, maybe poorer countries, is because of maybe the taxes there and maybe subsidies are there. So it brings me to asking, we're still buying at 617. Is there subsidy somewhere?
And you don't think I'm not sure, but I don't think there's
So are the marketers selling below what they are getting because they like us?
no.
So what is why is our because our prices are still lower than our neighboring countries and what's obtainable internationally?
I think for now, I still believe so many of them still have old stock.
Okay.
So I think they're even taking advantage to sell what they bought cheap, expensive. So they're selling at that price that I'm not seeing them make it loss.
Also, you believe
I
that
believe
it's
that
still
some
there
of them, they have
old stock.
You have stocks everywhere. They have stock that can last for. Yes, and if it is just as you are saying, it may still increase, but not that the effect not that much is on the conversion rate you want to. Yeah, because one of the major things that even that makes fuel to be expensive is that cost of bringing it in. Is another major cost. Bringing it in. I remember when I was working somewhere years back, you buy salt from Brazil, bring him to Nigeria to refine them. And, our major cost was not the salt, not the crude salt.
It's all the duties.
Cost of bringing it in. Can you imagine buying 10 and they'll give you one extra load? You can see how cheap it's there. You bring it in, they will give you as one. If you buy 10, they will give you one. But that cost of bringing it in is important.
That extra one doesn't even make up.
Exactly. So I'm thinking if we produce locally, refine locally, the price will come down.
So talking about refining locally, how do you think Dangote's refinery coming on board is going to help?
Yes. Dangote coming aboard will help, but when?
That's the major issue.
In my own opinion, that commissioner that was told the other day was not just a true situation. I don't believe that refinery is completed for operation. And that when it was commissioned. I just believe politicians just wanted the last
two commissions.
Commission because it was started when they just commissioned that. Well, like something similar to they did 1980 during Shagari regime, commissioning Ajakuta Steel when it was not yet completed. Bringing billets there, let them go out and say we have produced from them. The truth is Ajakuta Steel Company have not produced one.
Yeah.
What they showed us then was then I was still very young. But what they showed them was just for the government to commission the project, and that is what. To buttress this, you were talking about Dangote producing refining, and he has the capacity to refine them. But only his what's it called? His refining. The refinery alone can feed us, can't even consume oil.
Yeah.
You understand? And we have who are coming on board. We have like 4 modular refineries that are also coming on board. Meaning we won't have access to even export as a refined product. But the same Dangote is being given license to import.
Oh wow. This is news.
License to
import.
That was like last.
But he's supposed to be exporting because he said he'll be exporting 40%. Of his product.
Exactly. So now he has license. Among these people, the importers are ordinary. Among them, that have license to import. So if you are to commence, what's it called, refining here in August.
Why do you need to?
Why importation in June? You need license to import in June.
Is that probably like a risk management? Or I can't explain what it is.
I just feel that refinery is not ready
yet
to produce, to refine. That's my view.
All right, let's move to Thursday,
20th July.
20th July.
All right, so that's me. President Bola Tinubu has sought confirmation of the Senate for appointments of members and executive management of the governing board of the Northeast Development Commission, as NEDC, which was rejected by his predecessor. And the national leadership of the College of Education Academic Staff Union, COASU, on Wednesday directed its members nationwide to attend their respective workplaces only 2 days in a week. Then we get to that story. And the 19-year-old candidate in the 2023 United Tertiary Matriculation Examination, Mmesoma Ejikeme, accused by the JAM of result forgery, has apologized to the examination board for her action. And the Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke reportedly swore in a lawyer, Shola Akintola, as the Commissioner for Health among the 25 newly appointed commissioners he assigned various portfolios to. And President, let me take this news, as a move to cushion the effect of the removal of fuel subsidy, Senate President Godswill Akpabio has assured Nigerian workers of the readiness of the government to review salaries of its workers. President Bola Tinubu met with Senate President Godswill Akpabio and some governors, including those of Imo, Kwara, Lagos, and Ogun State, in continuation of his consultation with key players on how to get the economy on sound footing and finalize arrangements on the distribution of palliative to cushion the effect of the fuel subsidy removal. And the first batch of 27 million litres of petrol imported by an independent marketer has arrived in the country, putting an end to the downstream monopoly market once enjoyed by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company, that's NNPC. And the Federal High Court in Abuja on Wednesday granted an application by the federal government to protect the identity of the witnesses lined up to testify against an alleged terrorist collaborator, Tukur Mamu, who was arraigned in March this year, and he's facing 10 counts bordering on terrorism financing. And last, protesters in support of the fuel removal on Thursday caused a bit of disruption at the National Assembly's main entrance, popularly known as Mupol Gate.
21st of July, the National Economic Council, comprising of 36 state governors and Vice President Kashi Shettima, on Thursday concluded a plan for state governments to implement cash transfer programs using state-registered social registers. And also, the military high command says it has discovered and destroyed no fewer than 23 illegal crude oil refineries and arrested 60 suspected oil thieves in the last 2 weeks. Also, the Independent National Electoral Commission has bowed to pressure and finally recognized the YPP as a registered political party in Nigeria. Also, the National Vice Chairman of the Northwest, Malam Saliu Lukman, has won against replacing ousted National Chairman of the All Progressive Congress, Senator Abdullahi Adamu, with former Governor of Kano State, that's Abdullahi Ganduje. And the National Public Relation Officer of the Independent Petrol Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, that's Yakubu Suleiman, on Thursday said the event that even rather with the sudden hike in the pump price of petrol, the country still has the cheapest price of the product among other African countries. And we have the All Progressive Congress Governors under the platform of Progressive Governors Forum has clarified that no powerful bloc in the ruling party coerced S-Will National Chairman of the party, Abdullahi Adamu, and the Secretary, Yola Omisere, to resign their position. That's all we have for Friday, that's 21st day of July 2023. Now, you can still drop by any vendor close to get a copy, and of course, find out more about that. But before we let our guests go, let's look at a few questions that maybe we can ask him on matters that are arising. Now, also, we even though we asked you some regarding the Dangote refinery. Now, there was some videos that were recently that went viral recently. You made mention of the possibility of the fact that the refinery is not complete. There were videos that went viral recently about the fact that the factory is still ongoing. They are still building it. Now, others came up with the fact that we don't expect the whole factory to be complete and just Dangote will be like a factory is complete. There are other quarters definitely that needs one or two adjustments. Now, others are the fact that people are trying to spoil the image of the factory. Don't you think that's the case?
In my own opinion, refinery is not just about petroleum or only petrol. We have a section on fertilizer and other byproducts. For this petrol, that of petrol refinery for petrol, in my opinion, is not complete. It's still not being, just as I said, mentioned earlier. If it's complete, let us see the first, at least they will even test and let us see the first product that's being repeated. You will refine, let us see the product. Even if it is 33,000 liters, let us see. There was something like that, even at the commission. If it was complete, at least you will see it. You will say, okay, this is what you have refined. This is product from this is our first product, and we'll see that.
We're waiting for. All right. Yeah, thank you so much, sir. That's all we can take right now on newspaper headline. State of the Nation is next to stay tuned. We still have Mr. Dan Yusuf to take us on answering some policy questions. Stay with us.
News Plus on Viewer Television. I am Charles Doke.
Hello and welcome to News Plus on Viewer Television. I am Joy Malik.
Hello and welcome to News Plus. I am John Matake.
Hello and welcome to News Plus. I am Ike Omar.
Welcome back. You're still watching New Dawn Nigeria on Viewer Television. We still have in the studio the principal partner, DY Beneville, chartered accountants and tax practitioners, and he's here to help. You know, we don't want to just complain a lot because there's a lot to complain about. Nigerians are angry, but we want him this morning to help us to see if amongst some of the policies that have come out, economic policies that have come out, if there is anyone that Nigerians can hold on to as a flicker of light at the end of the tunnel, if there is anyone such as that. But let me start. I think we should just point out some things and get your opinions before that. The federal accounts, you're welcome again, by the way. The federal accounts allocation committee, they brought out, the NBS brought out a statement of the highest ever on record of funds to be distributed within the three arms of government this July, and that was said to be out of revenue from June, right? The revenue from June to be checked. What do you think is responsible for us having that amount of cash in the federal accounts right now with everything that is going on in the country? How did we arrive at that point?
Thank you. I think the first thing there is we have devalued our currency. So the exchange gains. There's gain in the exchange now. They accounted for a chunk of it. So there's much magic. And secondly, the savings from subsidy. Okay. Thirdly, this is June. Last month was June. That was the last day for filing or making returns for CIT, company income tax. Okay. So actually, all companies, so many companies filed and paid in June. If you don't pay in June, from 1st of July, aside paying this tax, you pay penalty and you pay interest.
Oh.
If you don't file at the end of June, 30th June, you pay penalty, you pay interest. So many people rushed. So if you look at the analysis, in the write-up, you can see that there's from the FRS there's improvement in income generated from CIT. CIT
Yeah.
as company contracts.
Okay.
It's because of that filing, so it contributed. So from now downward, the CIT will reduce.
Will
Because
reduce.
virtually all companies are filed,
Okay.
except the few ones that have not filed. I think stakeholders in tax and accounting, I think, so met with the FRS, and they even did extension for people who have not filed to file by 31st August. The window was given some few days ago.
Okay.
But one of the major reasons there was an improvement from the say was for start filing that 30th, so it contributed much to it.
So what should states be expecting, especially like civil servants, pensioners? What should they expect this month, different from what they have been seeing other months, if all goes well?
The state government, now they have more, so I expect that they should, just like the economic council also resolved, the state government should be able to pay arrears they are owing.
Yeah.
Then they should see more of infrastructure. And then even these social registers giving money to people. I think if it is well managed, the state should do better because they are at the grassroots. They can work in conjunction with the local governments. They should be able to have register easier than federal doing it. They know their people, so at least you can get these things distributed to people at that level instead of from the federal government.
Okay. And then talking about tax, because you are a tax practitioner, help us to explain what this tax initiative on traders is, or what it is about right now.
Which of them?
We know that there is this new policy that they're beginning to now going to be tax on traders, and it's something new. And
Yes, I think one of these associations, right, came up that they would want to collaborate with the federal government to get taxes from their people. Actually, so many people are still out of the tax net. But unfortunately, the people down there, sometimes people just come up with things and not looking at the right people to collect which tax. For taxes for individuals and businesses, enterprises, the taxes are to go to states because they're under what they call PSEN. So it's the CIT to federal government, that is company income tax. But the small people down there, the tax is to their states, not to the federal government. So when some people came up to assure them they want to bring people to the tax net, this and that, sometimes we just look, because everybody wants to talk. The people just want to be, some associations don't just want to be popular. Except you are a company, I don't know how you contribute to the FRS.
Yeah, because and on this on taxing again, I'm just wondering, why does the government people really feel that they have the right, let me not say right, the social conscience to collect tax from people who you have not supplied with adequate infrastructure to run their businesses or their household? What do you think they should be taxed nonetheless?
Yeah, I think it should be a two-way thing. As we're expecting the government to bring in something, they should be willing to contribute to. And it's a law. You should be able to pay. As a worker, you should pay a company your personal income tax. As a company, you should pay your company income tax, remit your VAT, and let the other people, the government, do their own part. If they are not doing and you are not doing, then that was the state of government. So at least we should be able to contribute our own part. At least you pay tax, you can now say the tax I've paid is not being utilized.
Yeah.
If you don't pay, how will you say somebody has not utilized it?
But for those that are even paying, some will still say it's not being utilized. Don't you think?
Yes, I agree with you. That's why we should be more. The people should learn, should be more vocal and be more prepared to fight when they should fight.
Now, earlier you made mention of social register. I know this whole thing started on Thursday when they are thinking of a way where there will be social register in as much as it will be. They are not talking about digitalizing it now. For a layman out there watching, wondering what social register is, I don't know. Maybe you can shed a little light on it.
Thank you. Ordinarily, we should have a comprehensive document to tell about actually everybody in the community. Basically, everybody. Some words in some countries now, even trees at the park has tag. Even trees at the park, dogs. You know the number of dogs. You know the number of pets in the houses.
How they've started and all that.
Yes. So that is so we should even have a register. A register that can contain at least basic things about us. Then going to this social analysis, going down, but we can't. We may not be able to get it at once, but maybe gradually, because we are still lag behind. There are so many people that don't even have access to communication, as in no phones, nothing. They are in the interior, this, but maybe that's why I'm talking about this social giving back to the people, giving them money. I feel the state and local government can do it better because they know their people. They can go into the villages to use their councillors or chairman to do the register from that end up.
Grassroots.
From the grassroots up. Then we'll have a register that when we can now say, okay, these are we can even do our statistics, can even be doing good statistics where you say so number of people are poor. You can have a register, you can have a record to base it on, not just stay in the studio and just come 80% of Nigerians are poor. They will sort a register now, you know what everybody is doing, you know people that are students, and you will be updated. If you are a student, tomorrow you become applicant, tomorrow you become a civil servant, and it will be updated that way. So I will have a record of ourselves, and if you want to give back anything to the community, you can say, okay, it's 12,000 people that we are giving, because these are 12,000 people that are not employed today. These are 12,000 people or 10,000 people that need this because their income is not up to a level.
Okay, thank you very much for your time, but based on time factor, we can continue. Well, before you go, I don't know if you have a word or two maybe that you forgot to say, that you want to say.
It's just the subsidies, just this, what will I say? Just to tell Nigeria to be a little bit more, and this is a new government, let's just give the government a chance. I believe the president in this government will take us somewhere. I believe in the government, and let us just give them a little time. Because sincerely, this fuel thing is really biting.
It's really biting.
It's really biting. It's not, but the truth is, we can't go back to the subsidy era.
Yeah.
Because the top four candidates in the last election mentioned, in fact, that was a defined, the four of them, that subsidy must go. I remember one said, I think Mr. Peter will say subsidies and organized crime that will not stay a night.
Wow. If he had come into power.
Yes,
he wouldn't stay a night.
It is an organized crime. Kwakwaso said same thing. Subsidy will go. Tinubu said, what was his name? Atiku the same thing. Then Tinubu the same thing. So I think it must just go. But I pray that our people can use whatever savings from there to better the lives of our people.
That's the ultimate thing. Thank you so much for coming on. It's always very insightful to have you. Up next, we'll be talking to an expert on tech. He'll help us answer some questions that we think is important to you. Stay tuned and join us again. Welcome back. You're still watching New Dawn Nigeria on Viewer Television. Before we went on a break, I told you we were going to have a tech expert in the house, and he's here to answer a few questions for us. Questions like, is our livelihood under threat because of the emergence of artificial intelligence? Are we becoming docile thinkers? And is our tech space in Nigeria ready for export? We have with us to answer the questions a software developer. He is in the best position to answer those questions for, and his name is Kent Chidi. You're welcome.
Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
thank you
Thank
for coming on. So, like we have introduced, the first question we'd want to ask is, with the emergence of AI, and I would like you to help us to explain to our viewers what AI is. Okay. With the emergence of AI, do you think that our lives are in any form of threat as humans?
Okay, yeah, it's an interesting topic. AI, as the name says, it's good to always look at the name. The name gives you a hint. It says artificial intelligence. We must always remember that human intelligence is the prime. It's important that we as IT people especially must remember this. So IT at the core is about solving human problems. IT starts technology, engineering, science is about the human question, the human desire, and human creativity. So let's start with something simple. I want to have a new wall, a new design for this wall every day. Right? This is an idea that artificial intelligence cannot come up with. I want to come up with a new wall every day, but it will be counterproductive to have human beings come to paint this wall every day, right? So what will I do? I can look at, how do I get this done? I can put screens here, right?
Yeah.
And then I could look at code that will change this display every day. So you find out that the source of this is what? Human creativity, human need, a desire. It's the same thing with, I want to write a book. I want to build a house. I have a dream, right? This house is going to be a 6-bedroom house. How do we get it done? This is the style we want. That need brings about, creativity, brings about thinking, and we begin to say, okay, how do we solve this problem? And we get tools, right? We get people to work with us. We get tools to solve the problem. It is no different with engineering and technology. It is no different with AI. AI is simply data. It is still human data. It cannot be any other way. So it is sourced, yeah?
Yeah, it's not supposed to replace.
No, it cannot replace
humans.
The moment we have this understanding, it cannot replace. It will only mean a change of roles in some scenarios where, okay, you might have to look at, we can solve this problem more efficiently this way, right? So what other roles can these people say have so that they could fit in? You get? Yeah. Because at the end of the day, just to give us some perspective on what AI is, it's data from various websites. Like in IT, we're talking of things like Stack Overflow, server fault, other community websites where people give answers. These answers are being, compiled, and that's what we call the learning data. So at the core of this thing, who generates this data? Human data. It's human knowledge, it's human wisdom, it's human understanding, it's human need. Somebody comes, I want to write a code to do this and that, right? It's not working. How do we fix this? 10 years later, somebody else may ask that question because a young developer, he has come up with something, another idea, right? And he wants to solve it using a tool. For instance, a development environment, a programming language. They are all tools to solve human problems, creativity issues, needs, right?
Yeah.
So he comes and he's looking for, how do I solve this code? I want a code that does this and that, takes this data, transforms it, brings it in this form. And normally he would search something like Stack Overflow and find an answer. Now, what AI does is simplify bringing the answer by picking out, say, those answers that have been ticked as correct, accepted, which have a lot of upvotes. For example, the script simply prioritizes those and gives you that as the first response, right? Okay. So you find that those that use these search engines and these communities a lot, there are answers you see come out of AI. You can tell that this is exactly an accepted answer on one of those community forums.
Even if it is wrong.
Most of the time it's accepted, and like I said, it is upvoted as correct.
Okay.
Right? There are questions. So this is how the script it is upvoted, it is accepted as correct.
Okay.
Right? So the AI, aside that, will now structure responses with the right language. Right? So it appears to be intelligent. That is why it's called artificial intelligence. It has been given all these keywords and terms to use to construct proper grammar. Do you get?
Yeah.
That appears to be better than most people can speak, or some people can speak. But at the end of the day, it is still people coding it. It is still developers programming the algorithms, looking at the training data, selecting it, refining it, right? So you cannot remove humans from this whole technology thing. Technology at the core is about humans. That's what we're saying. It's all about humans, everything.
So talking about you cannot replace humans, we know that AI still has its place and it is here to stay. Are there some jobs, because from what I'm getting that you're saying, you're telling us that these things are supposed to be for efficiency, right, and not to replace. Are there still some jobs that you feel will become obsolete because of AI?
It depends on the organization. It depends on what they are doing. Let me give an example. Let's say in an organization like this, a manager or HR manager comes up with an idea, a human need, right? He says, we need a software that at the 27th of each month will automatically generate, based on some rules and settings, generate for us pay slips for each department, for everybody, automatically at the 27th of each month, for example. And then before the end of the month, right, put in February, in consideration when you make that code, to say at the end of the month, you should roll out those salaries, post all the journals to accounts, do you understand, and credit everybody. This is a need, right?
Yeah.
So it will appear that the work of the HR person is at stake. But to make a human being efficient, you don't want somebody repeating this kind of task all the time. The energy of the HR person cannot be channeled towards actual HR personnel development goals, right?
Yeah.
The job of the accountant cannot be targeted at looking at, for instance, accounts receivables, accounts payables, right? You can now have the best. It's about human efficiency. It's about it should be seen as something that removes redundant, monotonous work, right? That's what it's a tool. It has never been different, and it should not be different.
Now, in respect to what she just asked, now let's take for instance, I am let's say a manager, and there is need for me to have a secretary, and whatever that I need from the secretary, the AI does that. Don't you think indirectly the human force of a secretary is going to be missing, because at the tail end I might find out, or I might realize the fact that why will I be paying another human for the job that my device can handle?
It depends on what that job is. Like, let's talk of a real secretary now, for example. The manager might just call, or the boss of that secretary might just call and say, I need you to type me a letter to so person telling them that so and so thing has happened about this deal or about this contract, right? And AI cannot figure this out, right? If you told generative AI to write something like this, it will fumble. Absolutely. Because what it does is just pick examples of maybe templates of these kinds of stuff, jumble them together. It's a mess. You understand? We can find this evidence of this online. Do you understand? But a real secretary will say, okay, I know that Mr. Omar, for example, has told me to write a letter to Mr. Obi telling him that our deal for tomorrow can no longer hold. We'll move it for next week and blah, blah, blah. Constructs that letter and, sends it to this person. We see that the person receives this letter, and if it's somebody that is used to the way that secretary writes on behalf of the chairman, or Even the way the chairman writes, you can tell that this is an actual. It also fires up that human element. That is just it.
Now, let's narrow this down. Recently, there is the case of social register. Now, we are looking at how digitalization can impact in that's when we are talking about Nigeria's growth. Now, recently there is a social register where it's been said it's been trying to look at how it will be made easier to reach some certain level of I would say people. Now, in as much as it is not being digitalized, you're not talking about putting that in digital perspective. Maybe you can highlight the importance of how digitalizing this will be like a great step forward for the nation rather than doing the analog or the usual way of tackling such issues.
Okay. You see, this is one of those key aspects where technology, works for humans. This is a core example. This is a typical kind of example. Because the people you're dealing with, they may not have phones. Smartphones for which you can make a connection with them. Right? But there are ways we can reach them. And this is where this digitalization is important. Right? Now, you can't buy phones for all of them. But for instance, as I sit here, I can think of human creativity. Tells me, for this kind of people, I need to go back a little bit, right? And then use what we can, look at the way we can access them and bring them into technology. So what can we do? We can say, okay, let's start taking thumbprints for them, mapping their information. So we have a database, right? Everybody that thumbprints is unique. We generate a unique ID for them, for example, right? So it means that even without a smartphone, we have data on them.
Digital data.
We have digital data on them because we have taken their thumbprint, we have taken a name, even if it's just the first name, right? Maybe the person cannot give you a complete name, but you have a thumbprint, a generated ID. For example, these things can be broken down into regions, local governments, villages, right? So you have these databases where this data will be collected and transmitted, right? Trust you, the code will do all the checks to ensure that every input is unique. Now it means that you can come to this digital system, put a local government and get that information. And you can get it with precision, even without having Google Maps or any kind of location, because while making that entry, you have received location. So you can tell the region where these people are. You can say, okay, today we need to attend to people in this local government, and you can pull them up and see. You can inform the local government heads to say, okay, we want to reach out to your people with ABC, and they know how to reach them. And they can pull up that data and everything will pop up, even if you want images, provided you have that thumbprint. So that's what I mean by going back. You go back to the thumbprinting, right? Which, everybody knows this was done for people who maybe could not sign. You go back to that and reintegrate it back, right? Because we still use thumbprints in banks, don't we? We still use it in so many scenarios. So it's important that is the only way the register can work.
Just like the NIN and
Yes. Yeah. But in this context, you cannot have that kind of data that, let's say, an educated person can give you.
Okay.
So that's why the thumbprint is important, to create that uniqueness. For each thumbprint, you generate, say, an ID, a unique ID. And with this, you can now have systems that is where actual good AI comes in, because I can ask it how many people in social local government it brings up, right? I can even categorize it by age. I want to see people between this age and this age, estimated. It gives me all those information. And you can plan programs based on, that data. So it's important. I don't think it can work effectively without it being digital, right? This is key. It's key that it's digitalized. It's important, yes.
All right, let's go on a quick break. We'll be right back. welcome back. We're still in conversation with tech expert Kent Chidi. And before we went on the break, it was in our minds to ask you, because I see that we're talking about how to make the tech space, how to use it more efficiently. And as a developer yourself, can you state to us some applications that you know have been effective in making sure that our workspace and our work environment is more efficient?
Good.
Right.
We call those kind of systems generally enterprise resource planning systems, ERP systems. Right? It happens to be something that I have good experience with. Right? It's typically software built and designed to improve human efficiency. That is what they do. So I want to raise an invoice. We have all engaged with things in line with ERP or technology that improves, human efficiency in one way or the other. So I want to do an invoice, and I want that invoice to be sent to so person. I want to pull my products in quickly. I want to pull my staff records. Those are all enterprise software. These are the kinds of software that improve human efficiency. Now, today, many companies are also integrating AI into it so that the users can easily pull out information, right? Maybe by just sending a simple question, writing a simple question, and it gets, records pulled out for you without doing too much. So those are examples of software. They are called enterprise resource planning software. Those improve human efficiency. So they can ensure that your operations are optimized, right? Because you can trust the atomicity and reliability of your data at every point in time. We can ensure that stuff is not being repeated, for example, right? We can pull in data even 10 years in the past, pull it up, do an analysis on it, do an investigation on it. We can do all of that. So that's the kind of stuff.
So if you meet with other developers now, would you be telling them things like, slow down, don't try to replace humans? Will you
Absolutely,
do
absolutely.
that? What is that doing for the market for you guys?
Absolutely. You see, I believe that a certain point of maturity comes when you can, in the midst of your trade, say these are limits. This is the point we put a line, right? Because no matter where we are, anything can go out of hand, right? Anything can go out of hand. Anything can be weaponized. You understand?
Yeah.
Greed is always a factor. So there are technologies that if we don't have any check on ethics, somebody can, look at a way to lure people, and then when they don't have a way out, that technology binds them, right? And you begin to make demands, and they don't have a way out. So, but the problem today is most people do not confront anything about their trade. It's like if you do it, it's a taboo. But if we do not do that, then ethics, we gradually, get into a state of rot. And before you know it, people begin to reject that particular thing we're trying to bring to them. In some cases, they need to be forced because, and you have a way, because you already bound them. So you have a way to force them, right?
Okay. So before we let you go, lastly, because if there's one thing we like to do here is to talk about how whatever it is we bring here helps Nigeria as a whole, helps individuals, helps the economy. I know we've been talking about Nigeria has to move from being highly import dependent, right, to begin to export. And we're looking at different sectors. Now let's look at the tech sector, for example. Do you think that Nigeria as developers are mature, the industry is mature enough to be exported in the sense that maybe our software, in terms of the brains behind it, and also investment? You think we are ready to receive investment into the tech space?
Yes, to a good extent, of course, because we have really good developers here, right? We have really good developers who have built and designed systems that can compete anywhere, right? Is it efficiency? Is it speed? You can compete. You get so yes, the competition is stiff when you compare to those teams outside who are well funded, well organized. They are closer to the technology, right? There are certain technologies you can't access here. For example, I came upon these guys who can do international transfers, right? They take care of it, multi-currency, but Nigerians cannot register. You can't even have you know a registration on the portal to even access the API. So there are such limitations. So in some aspects we may not be able to compete, but when it comes to the brains, yes, to a good extent, we can have solutions that people out there can use.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kent Chidi. That's he's a software developer. And up next, we'll be looking at Angel Twani, that's the CEO of the Twani Foundation, a peace advocate, to enlighten us on what she has to offer. Don't go nowhere. Well, welcome again. Remember, we promised earlier that we'll be having an exclusive with the CEO Twani Foundation, who's also an artist and, of course, a peace advocate and event consultant. And we'll be looking at the factor where women need to be part of major decision making, not only in Nigeria but Africa at large. So we have Angel Twani here in the studio who will explain more on that. You are very, very much welcome.
Thank you very much.
All right, now first of all, what's your take in the world, including women in major, I would say, sports and of course decision making?
First and foremost, I would say a woman is an embodiment of strength because she has been able to manage the home and also out there manage both spaces. So for her to be able to do that, it tells you a lot because probably the men are more out there and probably they've been given more opportunity right from time. And I feel for a woman, whatever a man can do, a woman also can be given that opportunity because they could do much more. We can see the examples of like the president in Liberia. She's a woman and she was given the opportunity to rule, and because of that she played her own role perfectly well. And I feel if there are more opportunity, especially in the government sector, if they could give women that opportunity to be part of decision making, I feel a lot of things will also change. Because if we've tried the men and they've done their own part, let's see what a woman can contribute. You can look at a lot of sectors. I can even give an example like from the media. You can see people like Mo Abudu. She's doing a very great job. You could see people like Konjo Wela. There are a lot of women I could mention that have done excellently well. And I feel if given the opportunity more to the women, we have a great role to play in Nigeria, in Africa, and across the globe.
Okay, now it's theoretical where we have people thinking that women, forgive me for using that, they are the weaker sex. But still on that matter, there are, as you said earlier, what a man can do, a woman can do better. And we see situations where somehow they really try, they really start trying, but later on it really didn't go well. A quick example is like the Theresa May and all that. You understand? It didn't go completely all through. Don't you think that could be the case for other aspects? If we should bring women into it, they might start delivering, but maybe with time that the weaker sex thing might kick in and they might not fully deliver.
I don't think so. I feel it's just at home when in those days they say a woman is someone should be according to what's his name, Bori now, the
Yes,
other
the
room
former
or something.
president.
But I feel if both party can come together, giving women opportunity, they could like do greater things than just a man being that focal point of him just being the person that does all the decision. When two people come together, I feel it's better to move and to put forward a lot of things, especially in the government and in every other sector. If we can talk about the sports, media, or whatever thing, you could see there are women that have done excellently well, as I said before. So I don't feel because they are weaker versus they cannot. You'd be surprised that women are also like strong-minded in every step of the way if that opportunity is being given to them. So I don't feel them being a weaker versus will limit them in any way if given opportunity in the government sector or in other fields in general terms. Yeah.
Now, it's good that you made mention of that, but regardless, I want to believe it's not all women that have that strong mindset and all that. Don't you think we are risking it by not, for the fact that we don't know who is strong and who is not? Or do you think every woman has that strong notion? What if there are those that I want to believe there are those that don't? What if we pick the wrong person? Don't you think it will be disastrous?
I don't think so because it's still the same thing. If you pick a man that can't meet up to expectation, it's still the same way. So I still stand on the ground that women can also do whatever men can do if that opportunity is given to them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you recently went for a summit in Ghana. That's the Visionary African Summit for women, and it's talking about empowering women in Africa and the world at large. I don't know. Maybe you can tell us one or two things that was said there that for the ladies watching out there that they should understand. Maybe for them to understand that they have the right to impact in the society and of course every aspect of life.
I feel I want to commend the organizer because I feel it's a very good initiative, and I feel more women out there to come out to be able to do such events or summits because it was an opportunity that a lot of women from different parts of Africa came together to air their opinion, to air their voices, on things they could do together. Because when women come together and collaborate, more greater things will be done when you are just on your own as a person. So I feel that particular summit I went to was a very mind-blowing event because you can see different women from Africa talking about what they can do, what they can contribute to their various community and to Africa at large. And we talked about how we could come together and collaborate to be able to push the African women scene and giving like more opportunities. So I feel more events like that should be organized so that women could also amplify the voices. Sorry, women can also put forward things they can do to achieve and also promote the African continent in general.
Okay, now in as much as that was organized somewhere outside Nigeria, are there ways that is being put in place so that a common lady or a teenager out there that is hoping to be like Conjuruela will know the importance of her to the society? Are there means or measures that is being put in place to reach out to the grassroots, I would say teenagers, whoever is aspiring to be a great, um, someone great, just like Okonjo-Iweala in the society?
Okay, I will say, like for me, I run a foundation. It's called the Twani Foundation, which is into peace building. And our focal point is the women and the youth. And I have done one or two programs that have to do with sensitizing the young folks, especially the ladies. Well, my focal point is peace, but I try to also bring one or two people who are already established, who are doing something, to talk to them on how they can motivate them to see themselves in that light of what you just said, like, oh, I want to see myself as the next Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. I want to see myself as the next governor. I want to see myself as the next one of the greatest footballer. So, like, we give talks once in a while to encourage these people to say that they could harness their potentials. They could be whatever they want to be if they're focused, if they can push forward whatever their dreams is. So basically, I feel people out there, like young ladies too, who are trying to strive to also create programs like that that will motivate the younger folks out there to see themselves in that light, that they can do whatever they want to if they push forward their expectations and dreams.
Now, talking about expectations and dreams, what do you think is hindering, let me use the word, the government from implementing things that we harness those aside from the stereotypical mindset of what men usually think these days that women should just be in the room and all that. Aside that, what do you think are or is the major reason why uh, the, the government and other stakeholders are not considering putting women forward?
Um, People will say these days, women out there are given opportunity now, like more than before. But if we look at the past, but even now, those factors are still limiting us. Like if we talk about religion, and if we talk about culture, those factors, we the African people, I don't know, we put a lot of strength or a lot of looking at a cultural or religion aspect as being part of some of the things still limiting us. Do you understand? Because sometimes maybe I will probably want to be a singer or something. Like maybe I'm from the north now. But I feel, okay, people gradually are beginning to see that, okay, there is a lucrative business so they can go into it. But still, some culture or some religion might like, I don't know, this is not good. This is something you're going. I think you should do this better than you trying to go into such things. So I feel people out there to look beyond culture, religion, and other aspects, and see how women can be empowered in some of those aspects to be able to be out there. You know.
Okay. Now, for that's from the administrative aspect. Now, for those ladies that are possibly from the grassroots, are some way somehow deterred by the way it's being portrayed, that they're not supposed to be at the forefront, they're always supposed to be at the back. What do you think is the major reason why they're thinking about that, and also what ways do you think they should, or what do you think they should consider that at least will bring them forward?
That's the people in the grassroots.
Yes.
Basically, the truth is that if you yourself do not stand up and say, okay, I want to do this, sometimes you still have families that want to limit you or have people around you that will not encourage you. But for those people out there in those kind of communities, you have to take your own steps and look at ways, opportunities of how you can see yourself out there. You don't have to probably want to wait, or even someone is discouraging you or whatever thing. You yourself, first and foremost, have to tell yourself that, oh, I can do this, and I have to take whatever baby steps that I have to towards that, because nobody will come from, let's say, maybe somewhere out there and say, okay, but it's when you're doing something that you'll be able to be projected out there for people to see you. So I feel they should, on their own, try to see how they can do stuff that
Start
people
from
will
somewhere.
start from somewhere. Because if they don't start, nobody will see them and say, okay, I want to be part of whatever you're doing.
Again, for them to start, at least they will need a kickoff or something, which I believe the government and other stakeholders should contribute to that. But I don't know whether your NGO is considering that.
Basically, what I want to say is you definitely will appeal to the government, because the government are the functionary body that will be part of supporting such um, initiative for people to be able to, for those women or those people out there to be put forward, they need the government to support them. Definitely, they need the government to support them, because without the government supporting them, they can't move from point A to point B. But they need that a bit of, okay, I can say, look at like creating programs. When we create programs as an NGO, we need that support from the government too, and probably individuals who are out there who are already established to support these programs, and so that these people can push out their potential, push out things they could do themselves to establish themselves, basically.
So it's not only the job of the government and NGOs like yours to foster that, but also individuals can be can put in one or two to help push that.
There are individuals that have established themselves. So if probably they want to see those people who are at the grassroots, you understand, those people who are still trying to strive. Oh, I want to be a mechanic, I want to be a baker, I want to be a hairdresser, but I don't have that opportunity. But if you are able to take those people or train them, pay for their trainings, or um, put them into school or something, you're doing something for them, and that will go a long way in helping them establish themselves.
Okay, but what if one doesn't have the capacity to go to school and all that? Do you still see any possibility that they might appear greater? Maybe if they learn a trade or something.
I feel skill acquisition is the next thing after you must not basically go to school. School is very important. After going to school, it's also good for you to even learn a skill, because even like these days sometimes they say after school there's no job and all those things, but when you have a skill, you are able to do something for yourself. You don't have to wait for the government or wait for a government paying job. You have something doing for yourself that is creating that money that you can help to sustain yourself.
Okay. All right. You've said a lot, but before we let you go, I don't know if you have a word or two as an advocate for, of course, inclusivity of women, and of course on peace. Maybe a word or two to the listeners, the viewers out there.
Okay, I want to appeal to the general public, to my country, Nigeria. Um, one of the one of the basic ingredients we need in this country, Nigeria, Africa, and the world at large to move forward our developing country is peace.
Okay.
Because when we don't have peace, definitely there are a lot of things that won't be properly functioning
Okay.
in general. So I appeal to the public, and also to the government, to international bodies, to private bodies. Basically to push forward the message and sensitization of peace, so that we have a peaceful society where we can function um, very well, where our policies, where every sector will be able to um, develop or push forward to get the targets of where we want our country to go. So we need that peace. We need that, like, people and individuals and the whole nation to stay peaceful.
Okay. All right. And for any other lady out there doubting herself, I don't know, maybe you have a word or two also for her to know that she has something to contribute to our nation.
I would say whatever thing you want to do, um, if it's to go to school, if it's to learn a skill, whatever thing you want to do, the first thing first is to take a step. Because if you don't take a step, it's just like a moving vehicle. If that moving vehicle don't start moving, definitely to not get to its destination. So it's to take baby steps to whatever thing you want to do.
Okay.
So that's like words to any young girl out there who want to harness whatever potential that person have. The person just has to start anyway.
Start somewhere, regardless. Baby steps, as she said. Well, that was Angel Twani, an artist, and of course, CEO of the Twani's Foundation and Peace Ambassador, also an event consultant. And we'll be talking about inclusivity of women in basically all aspects of life. Well, that's how far we have for this exclusive, I would say, part of the new dawn. Remember, we will be having more coming up next. Don't go nowhere. Well, that was Angel Twani, their peace advocate. And of course, that's all we can take on the new dawn for this week. Remember, we'll come in with fresh package, same station, same time. From my co-presenter.
Yeah, it's been wonderful keeping you guys company this weekend. We hope to come your way again next week. We hope that we've been great company. We hope that we've kept you engaged and on your screen. As always, I am Chinon. So Pam, do have a wonderful weekend and a great week ahead.
Bye.